So, I'm still trying to process, because even after watching this team for years, even after seeing every quarterback battle, every camp storyline, every maybe this is the guy moment, what unfolded out there wasn't normal. It wasn't competitive. It wasn't even close to being one of those feel-good iron sharpens iron afternoons. This was the kind of practice that changes an organization's direction in real time. I want you to imagine me standing there on the sideline, talking to the camera, pointing out little details, walking you through everything because that's exactly how it felt. The quarterback competition didn't just heat up. It detonated, and the second the 7-on-7 install period started, you could feel something shifting. It was like the air changed. I wish I were exaggerating, but I'm not. Every coach, every assistant, every scout who's been around this league for decades suddenly leaned in just a little bit. Everybody recognized immediately, this isn't two guys fighting for a job anymore. This is one guy taking control of an offense, like he's been waiting his whole life for the moment. And yes, that guy was Sanders. The separation between Sanders and Dillon Gabriel wasn't a difference. It was a canyon, a gulf. Something you don't see unless you're watching a franchise quarterback forming in front of your eyes while the other guy is quietly realizing the job he thought he was competing for is slipping through his fingers. I'm telling you. The contrast was shocking. Sanders goes first and the entire offense breathes differently from the very first rep. Sanders wasn't just good. He was hyper-efficient, fast, clean, authoritative. Reads processed instantly. Progressions snapped like clockwork. Ball placement was so precise it felt almost rehearsed, except it wasn't. These were live reps. Full-speed routes, defenders closing windows, and Sanders was threading passes into places only elite quarterbacks attempt. And here I am trying to do my best to gather all the information I can for you and share it with you. Please leave your likes and comments, and I would be grateful if you subscribed. Let's continue. Receivers didn't wait until breaks or film to react. They reacted in the moment. Little nods. Glances at each other. You know that, oh, we got something here, look veterans give when they realize someone has it. I saw that repeatedly. This wasn't a promising rookie showing upside. This was a quarterback, running a professional offense. Footwork tight. Commands protections. Adjusts tempo. Hits throws exactly where the route concepts demand, not just completing passes, but elevating the entire rhythm of the offense. There was this one drive, the first full sequence of the day, where Sanders hit 5 straight timing routes. All at different levels of the field, all with anticipation. I actually caught myself saying out loud, okay, that's different. Then Gabriel steps in, and everything collapses. And I hate saying that, because I always root for young quarterbacks. I want the competition to be fair. I want to see guys rise. But Gabriel didn't rise. He unraveled. Late reads. Happy feet. Overthrows, underthrows, the full spectrum. Routes that were executed perfectly suddenly looked broken the moment the ball left his hand. Timing vanished. The entire offense slowed down to a crawl, like someone hit the brakes without meaning to. Then came the red zone interception, and that was the moment the coaching staff's faces dropped. The classic head down, hands on knees, please no look. Receivers jogged back, shaking their heads. No yelling, no anger, just the body language of men who've seen this movie enough times to know how it ends. And remember, this wasn't a typical off day. This wasn't heel bounce back. This was systematic. This was structural. A complete performance gap. And then came the throw that changed everything. Sanders comes back in later for another period. And he fires off one of the cleanest 45-yard touchdown passes I've ever seen in a practice setting. Drops it between 2 defenders like he's placing it into a mailbox. Perfect arc, perfect timing, perfect confidence. The offense explodes. Chest bumps everywhere. Linemen celebrating. Even defensive backs who just got beat nodded like, okay. Respect. The energy did a full 180. You could feel a momentum swing without a scoreboard, even existing. Then Gabriel takes the very next rep and misses a check down. A check down? Silence. The kind of silence where everyone pretends not to be watching. But everyone is watching. The turning point was the hurry-up period. This is where quarterbacks show who they really are. Chaos. Pressure, coaching shouted across the field. Rapid-fire play calls, timing everything, Sanders. Pure composure, fast, efficient, a real, functioning offense. He marched the unit down the field in 5 plays like he'd been doing it his whole life, Gabriel. Disaster, overthrow, sack, miscommunication, dead drive, and right there. At that moment, something subtle but powerful happened. Players physically gravitated toward Sanders. Receivers drifted closer. Running backs huddled near him instead of rotating back to Gabriel. Linemen literally shifted their position on the field, so they were closer to Sanders. Between reps, that's not coaching. That's respect forming in real time. That's players saying, "This is the guy we believe in." Gabriel saw every bit of it. That's when everything erupted, sources say. Gabriel confronted Sanders on the sideline, frustrated. Emotional, upset that the locker room, the offense, the huddle was embracing Sanders as the leader. Sanders didn't yell. Didn't shove. Didn't he return fire? He reportedly just pointed at the field in a calm, almost chilling way, as if saying, "The results speak for themselves." Staffers sprinted over. Teammates rushed in. Coaches intervened so quickly the drill nearly stopped. In that moment, that confrontation, was when the entire quarterback competition spiritually ended. Even if nothing has been announced publicly, after practice, the silence was deafening. Coaches were shaken. Nobody made eye contact for long. Kevin Stefanski refused to answer anything meaningful about reps or performance differences. He didn't deny anything, he simply wouldn't touch it. And when coaches avoid talking, that's when you know the players already know because they did the locker room. Understood the hierarchy that had formed. This wasn't a good day. This was a shift in the organization's foundation, front office. Folks who drafted Gabriel in the 3rd round, they're sweating. Because now they're questioning the evaluation process. They're recalculating developmental timelines. They're dealing with the reality that draft position means nothing when the team rallies behind someone else. Gabriel's agent, already making calls. That's not speculation. That's the natural life cycle of a quarterback losing his grip on a job. Meanwhile, Saunders' camp is calm. No bragging. No theatrics. Just letting film do the talking, the truth. The quarterback competition didn't tilt. It ended on that field. In those reps, with those reactions, Sanders didn't just win reps. He won teammates. He won the coaching staff's respect through performance. He won the franchise's internal alignment. And he did it without saying a word. Whether the Browns announce it now or drag it out for storyline protection, Wednesday afternoon was the day the future became clear. Sanders isn't chasing the job anymore. He already took it. So, this kid throws one of the purest, most naturally beautiful footballs I've ever seen from a young quarterback in Cleveland. And I don't say that lightly. I'm talking about elite accuracy. I'm talking about touch, timing, ball placement, anticipation. All the things the Browns have been starving for. I mean, I've told you folks a dozen times, the accuracy is special. He's not spraying balls. He's not guessing. He's not hesitant. He knows exactly where he wants to put the ball. He puts it there. And I can tell you right now, even though nobody's going to say it out loud, guys in that locker room are curious. Privately, they want to see what Sanders can do under the lights. You can feel it in the building. There's this quiet, simmering energy around him. Receivers trust his ball. Coaches respect his precision. And the whispers are starting to grow louder, and honestly, there's a real chance he plays this Sunday, no exaggeration. Depending on what happens with Dillon Gabriel. Depending on how the Ravens disguise their coverages and attack him early. This could be the game where Sanders steps onto the field. And we all get to see the beginning of something huge. But let me get into the bomb that Mary Kay Cabot just dropped. Because this wasn't some throwaway report. This was an earthquake in Cleveland. She came out and said the Browns are seriously considering playing Sanders this week. Not in garbage time. Not in a blowout. In a real moment. In a real situation. In a high-stakes divisional game against one of the best defenses in the league, and her reasoning made perfect sense. She flat out said it. Dillon might struggle. The Ravens' defense is playing out of their minds. They're mixing coverages, they're disguising pressures, they're jumping routes. All the stuff that punishes indecisive quarterbacks, and Dillon Gabriel. He's been exactly that. Hesitant, unsure, inconsistent. Meanwhile, Sanders, he's been the exact opposite in practice. And let me tell you, when Mary Kay says something like that, when she suggests Sanders might enter the game, it's not just a guess. It's because she's hearing the same rumblings I'm hearing. The same things players are talking about. The same frustrations that have been bubbling under the surface, and it all ties together because this Browns receiving group. They want the ball on them. They want catchable throws. They want rhythm. That didn't happen under Flacco. It hasn't been happening under Dillon, and I remember something Mary Kay said that stuck with me. She said the receivers have been starving for a quarterback with pinpoint accuracy. Someone who won't make them contort their bodies. Someone who throws a ball they can actually finish the play with. And that's exactly what Sanders brings. He's been killing it on scout team. And when I say killing it, I mean he's been the talk of the field. Perfect touch passes, sidearm lasers, lofted throws with surgical placement, darts into tight windows. It's all there. The arm talent is real. The vision is real. And more importantly, the confidence is growing. Sanders just looks like a quarterback who's ready to take a roster over. And trust me, the Browns have noticed after that Detroit game, the tone inside the building changed. It didn't just shift, it cracked open. Suddenly the future didn't seem so far away. Suddenly Sanders didn't feel like a developmental option. Suddenly the buzz around him felt urgent. Like maybe he's not next year's starter. Maybe he's this year's. And here's where this thing gets. It's even crazier. Because if you think this tension is only coming from the coaching staff, think again. There are people around this organization saying the pressure to play Sanders is coming from the top. From ownership, directly, Jimmy Haslam wants Sanders to be the guy. Not next month. Not next year. He wants him now. He wants that spark. He wants that headline quarterback. He wants the excitement. And when the owner wants something this badly, everything starts to bend in that direction. Some insiders are saying Kevin Stefanski is feeling that pressure hard. And if the Browns keep losing games with Dillon Gabriel under center, Stefanski could be in trouble. Like legitimately in trouble. When you combine that with what we heard from Myles Garrett, oh boy. Myles went public with his frustration. Public. Do you know how significant that is? When your star defensive leader, the guy this entire locker room listens to, questions the quarterback situation. When he says he's sick of losing the same exact way week after week, that matters. That's not casual frustration. That's a message. That's a warning shot. And then Cam Newton jumped into the conversation and basically said Stefanski is losing the room. He said sticking with Dillon is making the locker room fracture even more. And from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, guys like Njoku, Cedric, Judy, they're all starting to say the same thing privately. This locker room wants change. And here's the thing. If Stefanski ignores this, if he sticks with Dillon and the Browns drop another game, the noise doesn't go away. The tension doesn't cool off. It gets louder. It gets hotter. It becomes impossible to manage. And as Cam Newton said, Stefanski is running out of time. That ticking sound in the background. That isn't just a clock. That's a bomb getting ready to go off. And then Colin Cowherd confirmed the final piece. Ownership doesn't just want Sanders on the field. They expected him on the field this season. They didn't bring him here to sit. They didn't draft him to watch. They didn't hype him to bury him. Jimmy Haslam loves star. Quarterbacks Manziel, Baker Watson, and now Sanders is his next centerpiece. The next headline. The next national story, meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel doesn't move the needle. Not for the players. Not for the fans. Not for the owner. Everything is pushing toward Sanders. Everything. So when Mary Kay came out and said the Browns are considering playing Sanders against the Ravens, that wasn't surprising. That was the moment where all the pieces finally connected. The locker room tension, the offensive struggles, the pressure from ownership, the skepticism around Dillon, the frustration from the defense, the failing chemistry, the fan unrest, the internal buzz around Sanders. It all funnels toward this weekend. We might see Sanders on the field. We might see the beginning of the future. And if Stefanski ignores all of this, if he chooses to die on the Dillon Gabriel hill, well, he might not make it to the end of the season. So let me ask you guys, because I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. Is it time to turn the page and give Sanders the team? Should Stefanski finally make the move? The possibility that this Ravens game could be the turning point for the entire franchise. Drop your thoughts below, because this is one of those moments where the fan base absolutely deserves a voice in what happens next.